Hey, how you doing, everybody? I'm Frank Stanisci, and now you're about to watch Candid Frank live on the Spanglish World Network on Zingo TV, channel 250. Please remember to download the Zingo TV app at the respective app stores for iOS and Android devices. While you download, make sure you rate and leave a comment. Both apps are absolutely free. Zingo TV is available on Google Chromecast, Amazon Fire, Fire TV sticks, Roku sticks, and also on all smart TVs 2016 forward. Now on Candid Frank Live, joining me as usual is Aaron William Freeland. I just realized Candid Frank Live, Aaron William Freeland, Candid Frank Stanisci. Can you believe this?
Well, like all good serial killers, we have three names.
Absolutely. So let's do some killing. My first question, I want to start with this. The big story of the day, in my mind, which, sometimes, it doesn't work real good. Sometimes, it just moves real slow. But what I'm going to say is this. Aaron, with what's going on with the truckers, what's going on with the anti-vaxxers, what's going on with the anti-mandate people, and they're all one and the same, it seems. What's the point of getting vaccinated?
Well, when you say what's the point, do you mean because individuals
like why get vaccinated? Why get vaccinated? Like why bother? I mean, if you don't want to, you don't have to. You don't have to have a justification for why you can't take it other than stomping your feet, waving your hands, screaming and yelling, saying, I don't want to do it.
While it does sound like that seems to be the case for a lot of it, Frank, I think the easiest way to do it is to go back to nuts and bolts and keep it as simple as possible. Look at it this way.
Okay.
Infectious diseases have been around for a while.
Got it.
We were having anti-vaccine riots as recently as 1885 when there was a smallpox outbreak in Montreal and children were being vaccinated. And stuff like that. If your chance of dying from a disease is akin to, say, 100 M&Ms in a bowl, if you're unvaccinated, about 50% of those M&Ms are going to be poisonous. If you get vaccinated, only about 3 of those 100 M&Ms are going to be poisonous. I would prefer to eat those M&Ms. By eat M&Ms, I mean participate in society. If there's only 3 out of 100 that can poison me, as opposed to 50% that can poison me. That's why I get vaccinated.
I would suggest that it's actually 2.5 in 50. No, I'm just saying. I'm just being a jerk.
I understand.
Because I know the math too. I follow
the skeptic, right?
So. I follow the numbers too, because they mean a lot to me. Because I'm vaccinated, and I always ask myself the question: why did I get vaccinated? Why are these people saying no? They shouldn't get vaccinated. I guess what I'm going to say is this. Okay, so that's there's vaxxed, double vaxxed, and boosted. So we start by saying that if you're vaccinated, the more vaccinated you are, including boosted, the less chance there is of you getting sick, passing on the virus, getting very sick, being hospitalized, on a ventilator, and dying. And what the numbers suggest is that the odds on someone who isn't vaccinated, relatively speaking, we're talking about percentage-wise, is, let's call it A, passing it on, right? Getting sick, the percentage is higher if you're not vaccinated. Getting very sick, the percentage even gets higher if you're not vaccinated. And then dying, it's even more again. So it gets exponentially worse. Your odds of surviving, getting sick, the odds of not being vaccinated, not too bad. It's like you said, 20 to 1, right? But it's the getting real sick and the deaths. And then on top of that, I think what has to be said and what has to be understood is that more people in the hospital are the ones that are very sick, are not vaccinated. And they make up a very small percentage of the population. Inversely, the vaccinated make a large portion of the vaccinated. So that's why I'm vaccinated, because the facts tell me And I like what you said on the phone when I asked you, hey, what do you think? We should talk about this. I liked your answer. And I said, Aaron, why should you get vaccinated? Remember your answer?
Oh, it gives me a sense of self-satisfaction to know that I've done what I can.
See, this is what happens when Frank goes on a rant for 35 minutes in a row. Aaron's not used to jumping in.
No.
Well, I'm trying to learn from my, my silliness. So essentially, you feel safer, right?
Yes.
You feel responsible for passing the virus along. The merry-go-round thing. The hot potato, if you will. Let me use that term. Didn't practice this. So you are there's less of an opportunity that you'll pass the hot potato to the next person. It doesn't have as much chance because you're vaccinated, double vaccinated, and boosted to be passed along by you because of that. And then when it hits somebody who isn't vaccinated, the opposite is true. They're very prone to getting ill, and they're very prone to passing it along. So I do this for my good health, and I do this I honestly, in my heart, do this for other people. Okay? So that's why I do it. Why are Aaron and I talking like this? I want to make this clear, folks, because we're being pressured into doing something that we know is wrong. And by pressured, I mean there are people in government who are, they don't handle pressure very well. They don't have stiff spines. They don't stand up for the right thing. They do what, I say, and this is, anti-vaxxers, even those people, truckers and stuff, they can be pissed at me, but I look at people who aren't vaccinating or who are protesting, mandates. They're like that child in the mall that doesn't want to do anything. The reason I'm making the comparison is because it doesn't matter what you say to that child. As a parent, you love them, you want to protect them, you want them to be okay, and you're telling them something because you want them to be safe. They don't understand or want to know about being safe because they want to do what they think is their right, which is to scream and yell, run down the mall, and interfere with other people's lives. So every decision we make, I am fully satisfied that, as Aaron said, I'm fully satisfied that my vaccination protects me and other people, and I'm okay with that. Aaron, do you understand that we because at the time that we started getting vaccinated, are you satisfied that you took a risk? I feel I
Yes.
did.
I understand that there could potentially be complications from the vaccination. I understand that, indeed, some of it is still being tested. Some of it is still experimental. We do have 30 plus years worth of experience with mRNA vaccines, but not quite used like this, not in a mass rollout and not as expeditiously as it has been done. I understand that there is a risk that goes along with that, but I'm also satisfied that I've taken that risk because it means I'm reducing the risk for my parents. I'm reducing the risk for the people that are around me. If you don't want to get vaccinated, understand me here. If you don't want to get vaccinated, that's fine. That's on you. You can go right ahead and not be vaccinated if you want. That is your choice. And I will respect your ability to make your choice. But then you have to realize that your choice comes with consequences.
Right. And speaking of consequences, because you're taking a risk, there's a possibility of a consequence or consequences that you aren't aware might happen. In other words, there might be something, a real side effect for taking the vaccine, right? There might be a side effect that could change your life in a way that you would not want it to be, which is ultimately one of the main reasons why people fear taking the vaccine. And let's use the proper word here. It's about fear, right? So what I'm going to call you, and I think of myself as someone who was fearless when it was just, as they put it, as the CDC puts it, emergency authorization use, which meant that we needed to use the vaccine for an emergency. It was only for emergency use. It wasn't confirmed to be safe where they could make it for, for what they called manufacture, in other words, for use everywhere without any concern, right? Where it passes that plateau or that bar that says it's safe, and it's safe enough to say, just like the Food and Drug Administration, right? Just like our health, we expect our government to make sure that what we're taking, whether it be medications, whether it be food, anything, right, that it's safe, right?
Yep.
In the case of the vaccines, the desperation was so high that we were willing to take a chance. You and I, we entered into a risky proposition. But you and I'm speaking for you, and you can always correct me. We had faith in our health system. We had faith in the scientists that what they were doing was good, right? And with good intention, and they were being honest with us, which is why a lot of the confusion happened. Now, since then, we know that the Pfizer vaccine was authorized, fully authorized. Now we recently, in the past couple of weeks, the Moderna vaccine has been fully authorized, which means it's okay. It's gone through all the testing. Now, on top of that, it's been in use. They've been in use for over a year. For over a year, they've been used, right?
Yep.
And you and I agree on this, but some of the people who believe in, what word can I use? Oh yeah, bullshit. The people who believe in that will find excuses to say, no, I don't believe you. The fact is, as much as those same people don't like the media, one thing the media likes to do is they like to find stories, and they're good media, and there are plenty of them. Seek the truth. And if they can find a truth that suggested that these vaccines were unsafe in any way, I'm talking to everybody right now, even those people who believe in, do you think that they wouldn't broadcast it if they had that kind of story and it was true, that they wouldn't broadcast it? If you really think that they wouldn't, then you don't understand how money works, because at the end of the day, it's all about money. So as far as I'm concerned, with each passing day after it was approved for use, I feel much safer and I feel better about the decision that I took, that I was concerned about. Let me be clear about this. I'm not a sheep, and I don't like being referred to as a sheep. I had faith, and with my faith, I stuck to it. And I'm grateful because in my own mind, like it or not, I feel like my faith has been vindicated. And that's why I'm okay with having been vaxxed. You?
I am 110% okay with the number of shots that I've received so far. I realize that this isn't going to end. It's not just going to up and pack its bags and go home just because everybody is vaccinated. We are going to continue to need shots. In the same way that Spanish flu from 1918 is still a holdover today, we still need to get shots for that. What we're trying to do is get the PA out of pandemic and make it just an endemic. And that's all we're looking to do at this point. That is a realistic goal that we can make. The vaccines will not prevent you from getting the disease now. They will eventually prevent you from getting the disease because it will help stop the virus. But
when I go, I'm sorry.
No, go ahead, Frank.
No, when I get the flu virus, it is not a specific virus. Every year it's a new one because there's all these new strains that come out, right? And then they try to ball them all up in one and go, okay, let's handle as many of these different, right? And you get the flu virus, and it kills, but not at the same rate that COVID does, right? So now you're protected from getting sick, ish, hospital. It's the same thing. It doesn't mean because you get the flu virus that you don't get anything that feels like the flu, and then there's colds and stuff like that. So without digressing any further, the point is, you don't have to be vaccinated. If that's what you believe, I do not believe, and this is where I'm going and where I think we're going to end up. I started with that on our last show, and I will continue now, and I'll ask your opinion. What I do believe in is the freedom of business to decide that they want vaccinated people as customers and don't want unvaccinated people. I want this message to those of you who think we're not being rewarded for being vaccinated. We will be rewarded, because there will be times when you will get a chance It's not going to be a vaccine card the way the government does it, because they're cowards. The government are cowards. Businesses, it always what I said last time, and I'm growing on this idea. It's going to be all about money, right? And there are going to be a lot of people who are vaccinated are going to say, you know what? I don't want to hang out with people who aren't vaccinated. And they're going to say it to companies. And companies are going to make a value judgment. And by value, I mean $ judgment. The people who are vaccinated don't want to come to my business because they want to feel safe. And if they understand and believe, doesn't matter whether they're right or wrong, just like it doesn't matter. And I don't blame people the trucking people, they have a right to believe what they believe. But so do the people who are getting vaccinated. Those people are going to say to themselves, maybe I don't want to hang around with people who are unvaccinated. So some restaurants go, you can come here, but you have to be vaccinated. And then there'll be companies that say, which is their right. This is what democracy is about. Who will say, we don't care if you're vaccinated or not, right? And then they'll put it on the front of their store or their restaurant. And then we'll see how things work out. Because one thing I believe in, and this is truly what I believe in, I don't believe in the principle, but I do believe in the issue. And I'm trying to split a hair here. I believe money makes the world go round. And whatever you can do to make your business more profitable, you're going to do. And some people are going to say, let's not punish unvaccinated people. And that'll be what'll happen. They won't punish unvaccinated people. But unvaccinated people have a message for you from us vaccinated folks, at least from Aaron and I. We don't want to be punished because we're vaccinated either. So neither group wishes to be told how to live, right? If I want to hang around people who are vaccinated and that's what I want to do, I have that right. If you don't want to hang around people who are vaccinated, or you just want to hang out with whomever you want, go ahead. But if people who are vaccinated don't want you in their store, don't want you in their restaurant, don't want you in their stadium, then that's on you. That's on no one else. So you get to make the choice, but we all get to make choices. We all get to decide where we go, what environment we're in, what risks we take. We don't have to accept risks that other people want to make. A non-vaxxer doesn't have to accept the risk of being vaccinated. I don't have to accept the risk of being near a non-vaccinated person. That's what it's going to come down to, folks. And money's going to dictate it. Never mind all this BS politics and BS, people stomping their feet. The rubber's going to hit the road when it comes down to money and decisions made. You want to interject at that point? Because I have another step to go to.
No, you go right ahead, Frank, and I'll tag along at the end.
Okay. For example, I'll give you an example. Let's say that cruise lines figure out that this business of the virus is it's really screwing things up, because you see, they can't hide like you can if you go to a barber shop and you're not vaccinated and the other one's vaccinated, right? You can't hide. These people go on a ship. Now they're stuck together for 2 weeks. We're going to know what the difference is between vaccinated and unvaccinated is. Cruise liners are going to be the petri dish. They're going to be the canary in the mine. They're the ones that are going to help spread the truth on whether it's a good idea to be unvaccinated or a better idea to be vaccinated, or even better idea not to be vaccinated and not to believe in mandates. Whatever way you want to look at it, at the end of the day, those cruise lines want to operate. Don't you think? They want to operate. They want their people coming in there. They want them spending that money and going for those trips. If it turns out unvaccination is a problem for those cruise ships, I'm not telling you what they're going to do. I'm making what I'd like to call an educated guess.
No, money is the grease that lubricates the wheels of capitalism. And if you're finding that a choice that you make negatively affects your cash flow, and you run out of lubricant, then that's a problem, because the wheels of capitalism will always keep turning. And the one thing that I know for certain in my vast experience of working in retail is if something prevents you from making money, you find out what it is that is preventing you from making money and eliminate that from your business model.
And you change things. You
Yes.
change things. Yeah, no, for me, I've said it, I've written it, I've posted it. I do not believe in government mandates. I don't, because they don't work, because people in government are cowards. You know, they're knee-jerk reactors. They flip, they flop, they do all kinds of things. And I'm not talking about any particular party. I'm talking about politicians in general. I'll underline it by saying the bad ones. Unfortunately, the good politicians are the ones that stick and do what they think is best without influence, without reaction in a terrible way. And those ones are few and far between, because career politicians are career politicians. I'm not a big fan of politics because I don't have faith in it when it comes to running business itself. I believe the businesses have the right to do what they think is right, and the government is there for legislating, protecting people, making sure our rights are, it's real simple. They're here to protect us in case somebody tries going astray and doing something, wrong, illegal. So the courts are the place where we make all these decisions. The courts, Aaron, are going to be where these arguments are going to be had. Forget about the government house. Got to go. That's not the issue. They should leave there. They should leave the border, and they should go to court and demand legally that they not have to get vaccinated. And also, companies should go. They should go to. They should say, I want I want vaccinated people to come to my restaurant. I feel it's better for my business. Then they can go to court and find out whether those businesses can do that or not. That's what it comes down to. When it comes to money, I trust business. I don't trust government. And by that, I mean what motivates people. Money motivates people. When it comes to the law, I don't believe in the government. I believe in the legal system. That's where it should be decided. So if we have rights, that's where you should go to exercise your rights and or consider what your rights are. If you don't believe in our legal system, then you should make sure to vote and get that MP in there and tell him, I want a fair legal system. I want judges that understand what we need and want. I believe in democracy more than anything. I believe in the vehicle that is democracy. But unfortunately, democracy is handled by people.
People are inherently flawed.
Inherently. So I totally believe that there should be a fair judgment on what's right, what's legal, what isn't. Because the problem we have with government and politicians is one person's right ends up always superseding another's. And it's not always done in a manner that deals with human rights. And ultimately, I'm a person who believes in human rights. I believe the people who don't want to be vaccinated have a right to exercise that human right and see how it tests against the legal system, which is supposed to be constitutionally guaranteed that all our rights matter. So, I want to say hi to, I like how he changed his name. It's actually Stevie Myers. I like what he had in between. I'll read what he said. Frank, we've got to get rid of our PM. Okay. Uh, Steve, I don't disagree with that. I understand. And I'm sorry, all the words that you're writing aren't on here. So if I screw up, the side isn't there. Stock and trade is division. Trudeau won, dividing Canadians by race, religion, gender, class. It's time to end these mandates. I totally agree with you, Steve. I agree with ending mandates. I said again, and I've said it because I believe it to be true. Yeah, you can hate Trudeau. I'm not a big fan of being verbally abusive when it comes to people, and I think politicians are people too. I may not respect them as considering what they do as politicians. Politicians don't deserve a lot of respect because of what they do and how they do it, and it's all of them. But they're people. They deserve they deserve mutual respect. So I think you should respect politicians. I should respect the politicians as people. As politicians, it's like lawyers, car salesmen, construction. We all have, I was in construction. We had a bad name. And some of us earned it for everybody else. That's just the way it is. But individually, we have individual rights. And your individual rights, Steve, to suggest that Trudeau must go, you have that right. And the good news is in this country, Aaron, you want to say it with me? You can get rid of him, right? How do you get rid of him?
You get rid of them by voting.
And so if you vote and you don't get who you want, I'm sorry, Stevie. You know I love you, but elections have consequences. And it's about time we grew up and lived with that fact. Elections have consequences.
And I think one of the greatest examples of that is look at the difference. Look at the difference between provinces right now. Look at the difference between British Columbia and Alberta and Manitoba and Prince Edward Island and Ontario and Quebec. Based on the premiers that they've elected, all of them have handled the pandemic differently, which is the way it should be. The provinces are the ones that are responsible for handling their own health care. Trudeau can't just unilaterally step in and say, do this and do that. He can say that there's a federal mandate, but healthcare is decided by the provinces. So the people at the top are the ones that you need to address your concerns to. So I understand Steve, Fringe Minority Unacceptable Myers, has an opinion that Trudeau needs to go. However, the one that's making all of the major decisions for this sort of thing is currently Doug Ford. And I hope, Stevie, that you're aware of this. Doug has recently opened the coffers to the tune of $15 an hour for minimum wage workers, as well as a proposal to cancel the $120 fee for your license plate sticker. Now, this will only be effective, of course, if he wins. And he's also started to release free tests for everyone that he's had since about January of last year. So you can tell an election's coming, Stevie. And if you want to make sure that your guy gets in again, being Doug, you're going to have to vote. And when the election finally rolls around in 2023, you'll have to make sure that you vote out Trudeau as well.
And I'll try to move over to a different area of the platform. Aaron is a unabashed liberal. I'm moving away from the Liberals and not really towards the Conservatives or the NDP. So I'll try to understand the other side of the equation. Getting rid of Trudeau is something that almost happened. You know, the people on the whole did not want the Liberal Party in power. More people voted against the Liberal Party than for it. Unfortunately, the way our House works, Parliament, you have to, in this case, end up with a coalition. So they had a coalition. They got a coalition together. So the Liberal Party had the most votes or the most seats. So they got to make the party. But the other parties can, NDP, for example, Green Party, all those other parties that bought into giving the Liberals the power can basically say, nope, we don't want it anymore. And then we'll end up in another election. So what I can say is this, and I'm looking real hard to find somebody that speaks to Stevie's concerns, that speaks to Aaron's concerns, and that speaks to Frank's concerns, knowing full well that requires a very wide range of thinking. It's kind of difficult, but I kind of hope and I wish, because I believe in this country, I believe in Canada, I believe in everything that it can be. It isn't everything it can be.
I want to address something that's just come
Go
up
ahead.
in the comments. Stevie, I'm looking at your comment here about him inflaming the Ottawa convoy before they arrived. Understand, one of the people that organized the GoFundMe is a lady by the name of Tamara Lee Litch. She is a member of the Maverick Party, which was previously known as the Wexit Party. So they're a separatist party. They want out. As for the second part, one of the leaders on the ground is a gentleman by the name of Pat King. I don't know if you've met him or if you've seen any of his Facebook rants, but in December of 2021, he said that the problem in Ottawa will only be solved with bullets. I am not an advocate for the violent removal of any political party.
Violence, period,
that,
Aaron. Make sure they understand you don't believe in violence, period.
Regardless of whether or not Tamara Lee Litch is First Nations, Stevie, I think we need to be aware that the group that is organizing this are members of supposedly undesirable groups and conventionally undesirable groups. The Yellow Vesters are Western chauvinists, anti-immigrationists. It's been proven. There's documentation out there. Pat King claimed to be an amputee Afghanistan veteran in one of his videos as well. So you understand he's not. I mean, it's an issue when these sorts of individuals are leading a convoy on the nation's capital. So
absolutely, we're running out of time here.
Yeah,
we've used up our whole half hour on this topic. Joining us is another vaxxed human being. By the way, we don't discriminate whether you're vaxxed or unvaxxed. You're welcome on the program. You're welcome to have comments. You're mostly welcome to watch as well. I guess we should bring this to a close, and I'll close out by saying this. Freedom and free speech is not about hearing speech you like. It's about hearing people's opinions and being willing to understand that we all have an opinion. And I think we spend so much time thinking of it as free speech. We also should be looking at it as mutual respect and listening, at being willing to listen to other people. And when people stop listening, and I run into a lot of them, I don't think Stevie's one of them. I don't think Stevie's one of those people who stops listening. I think he does listen, and he's willing to say what he has to say on here. And I respect what he has to say. And so, that's the best we can do. Like I said, we all have a right to say something. We all have a right to, and oh yeah. And the thing I wanted to say before you went on your rant, the thing I wanted to say is I believe in oh my goodness, now the word just diversity. Okay, and here's my logic for believing in diversity. Diversity is to me this. You were referring to, Aaron, to Alberta, Saskatchewan, and such, them starting to remove all the mandates and stuff and all the protocols and all that stuff, right? I say have at it. I say let them run things, let the provinces run things the way they want, because it'll all come out in the wash. Maybe they're right. Maybe we don't need to have mandates. Maybe we do. But the only way to find out is if we have diversity of thinking. And that diversity of thinking, as long as we're listening and watching what happens with those people, then, no, you can reply on that. Go ahead. You sure? Okay. All right. We're switching now to a special CFL talk. Hopefully in a few minutes, we'll have Trevor Harris here. When we talk about the Canadian Football League, the interesting thing here, what I'll say to start with the Canadian Football League is today we were on a call on an opportunity to talk to 5 Argos. One was already an Argo, Mwamba. He just re-upped, and we had 4 other new Argos. We were invited to talk to them, and it was a thrill to listen to them. Now I'll ask you, David, what did you glean from that? And maybe start by, I want to ask you this question, and ask Aaron the same question. Start with this question. Does free agency seem more exciting now? Is it because what we went through the past couple of years, Aaron, for you, or is it just more exciting, you think, long-term, going further back?
Well, I looking at this particular silly season for the CFL, it definitely seems to be more interesting in that there are more players moving than I remember seeing in seasons past. I think also the fact that we're looking at one team that's retooling to try to get a three-peat. You have other teams that are recognizing their deficiencies and trying to address those directly. And there seems to be a little more money floating around. So there seems to be a little more activity on that front. For me, it's much more exciting. I'm a big fan of what's happening this year.
Yeah, and more impactful players are moving, right, David?
Yeah, I mean, you look at the five that were a part of the press conference today. Those are all like substantial names, and the thing that I got from that was the camaraderie. Even though these guys have gone up against each other as rivals, it didn't seem like that when you were listening to them talk on this press conference. And one thing I think that maybe this year will be a little bit different is because restrictions, cross our fingers, knock on wood, will be different for the CFL this year. I think teams will benefit from having a little more bonding and in-person work together, because a lot of that wasn't happening because of the pandemic last year and the protocols that the CFL had in place.
Eduardo, if you could, geez, I don't, I can't. It's all right. I'm hoping I sent Trevor the link. I hope he got it. That's all I can say. And Trevor was on his way. We had a little misunderstanding. He thought it was tomorrow. I said no, it was today. All right. So he might be here a little late, but I'm sure he'll be here, and he's got lots of time. We're only going to spend about 10 minutes with him. So as far as free agency is concerned, I alluded to the fact that some of the names, like Jagarrett Davis, for example, comes to Toronto. Andrew Harris comes to Toronto. Ottawa gets Mazzoli. You know, really big names. If you guys have which players that moved for you, Aaron, lit up your eyeballs, whether it be for Toronto or any other team.
Well, I was actually looking at the trio of Lawler, Gainey, and Cordy that got signed by the Elks. I think that's a big return for them. I'm glad to see that's happening for them. At the same time, Ted Laurent going back to the Hamilton Ticats is huge as well. That's definitely a bolster for them. He was one of the major components in their playoff run. So I'm glad to see that that's happening. In addition, there's a lot of free flowing movement here. Hopefully, our guest will be able to speak to that a little bit more, seeing as he's somebody who has shifted teams as well. Yeah, no, I'm just glad to see that. Ellingson also being back with the Blue Bombers was nice as well.
What do you think, David?
Well, actually, I'm going to steal one from Derek Dennis here, former CFL lineman. He points out that Winnipeg. Yeah, we at first it looks like they were keeping a lot of that core together when they brought back Willie Jefferson, and Jeff Coe, Caleros, Big Hill. But then we started to see the aftermath of that. They lose Kenny Lawler, their best receiver. Darvin Adams. I think that's a very underrated addition by the Ottawa Red Blacks and a big loss for the Blue Bombers. And then they lose Andrew Harris. Like three of their best offensive players are now gone. Now they brought Greg Ellingson in. That's a pretty decent pickup for them. But those are three significant names that are gone.
Mm-hmm.
And the main reason for that is all three of those guys had been there for so long. The continuity in that offense was very apparent this season, and now they got to kind of reshape things. I'm curious to see how Winnipeg manages to get by with that.
Absolutely, and it was bound to happen. I mean, a player is also, this is a business, not just from the team's perspective. It's also a business from the player's, perspective. It's a job, and just like any of us, right? We're at a job, we make a contribution, we start to think, you know what? I've made a contribution that requires a little more money, and unfortunately, sometimes you can't make that much money. So sometimes you have to accept what you can get. Well, joining us now and looking very comfortable, I want to say that I hope you didn't break any speed limits, Trevor. I mean, I know you came on the show even though it was tough. He's gone again. I think he turned it off by accident. He's there somewhere. Anyway, hopefully
There we go. We got him.
We good?
Yeah, we're fine, Trevor. It's fantastic. Okay, joining us is Trevor Harris. I consider him a friend, and in case anybody doesn't know, as an Argo lifer and somebody who spent time at Shoeless Joe's in the basement there, having dinner after football games, Argo games, Trevor, Zach Caleros, quite a few young Argonauts used to hang out down there. And I always said to Trevor, I see you as a really good starter once you get a chance. And, he's proven me right. Another thing he's proven is that he's willing to go back to Montreal. Why Montreal? Why back there?
There was a lot that played into this. It was quite a wild last couple months. To pinpoint one reason would be unfair and unjust. There was a lot of things that kind of happened that were pretty shocking to me during this time, this last couple months. But needless to say, I know God doesn't make any mistakes, and He's placed me right where I need to be, and that's in Montreal. And so I'm excited to get to work.
David?
Well, and thanks, Trevor, for joining us. I was curious. I mean, now that we know, it seems like Kahari Jones and you have really formed a really strong bond there. Has he kind of spoken what the expectations for you are, what he wants from you when you get to training camp there?
Oops.
I didn't. I thought I didn't.
That was too tough a question. You shouldn't ask that question. He would have stuck around, but you have to go and ask that question. It's clear, and the point that you're making is that Vernon Adams is signed in Montreal. Vernon Adams was a starter before he was injured. The reason Trevor ended up in Montreal, at least this is the way I looked at it, right? He was hired by Montreal, brought in because they needed and wanted a quality quarterback that could take them through the playoffs. I mean, they knew they were going to be in the playoffs, but they wanted to make some noise in the playoffs. I mean, all they had to do is win 2 games, right? So they thought that Trevor could do it, so they brought him in.
Yeah, and the other thing you mentioned this too, Frank, is what's Vernon Adams' status, because he suffered a shoulder injury. Those take time to heal, especially a quarterback, to be able to. And I can't remember if it was his throwing shoulder or not, but maybe there's a little more competition there. Do we have you back now, Trevor?
Yeah. You guys
Okay.
see me, hear me?
Yes. Yep. Did you hear the question, or you want David to repeat it?
Yeah, I heard. I have a tremendous relationship with Kahari and a ton of respect, and I think there's mutual respect there. And I didn't anticipate that I would actually be back even after the season. I know how this game works. It's you produce wins, in November, or it's time to move on from you. And I've done that, in 18, 19, and then unfortunately 2020 we didn't have a season, and 21 didn't quite go the way we thought it would in Edmonton. And then when I went over to Montreal, I got sped up as quick as I could and played. And unfortunately, did some timely turnovers in that game. And when you've got a starter there that is 29 years old, and I'm 35, I'm gonna be 36. I know how the game works, and that's how it goes. It doesn't matter if I feel like I can play until I'm in my 40s or not. There's age is a number that they look at, but I think of it as just a number. And obviously, I feel like I can play as long as I really want to with the things that I've done. But I've developed a great relationship with Kahari. He's talked about coming in and being in a support role, in this situation. And but I know that every team in the league has needed multiple quarterbacks, except for one. And if you draw the short straw and I'm in a support role, so be it. If I get my number called, I can promise you I'm going to go out there and perform like I feel like I'm a tier 1 quarterback in this league. But a lot of times how we feel doesn't really matter. Just like you guys feel like this is a great show, and I do too. And obviously we all feel like we're pursuing toward mastery and whatnot. And so. But that doesn't matter how I feel. But if I get out there, I'm gonna prove my worth and just reprove myself to the league, and that's what I plan on doing if my number's called upon.
In support of what you said, you held a clipboard on the sidelines of the Ottawa Red Blacks, and there was he was almost 40. I don't know if he had reached 40 yet, and he won a Grey Cup on a sideline.
He's 41.
Yeah, right. So there's it's not like you're setting a precedent, right? At playing in a few more years, and a precedent that you can or cannot win a Grey Cup. Henry Burris did it. He was well deserving of that victory. And it's about, like you said, it's about who you are, what you believe, in how you execute. And it's true. I mean, it's an unforgiving business. It's a thankless business. All that we care about, those of us that cover it, we want to know how you win. We don't want to hear about how you lose, and we're not looking for excuses. So we ask questions to, sometimes tough questions. Aaron, you got a tough question for Trevor?
Dude, do they make that in an extra large? Because that sweatshirt is sharp.
That's a layup question, man.
I'm glad you're back, Trevor. I really am, and I wish you all the best in the coming season. It's going to be a heck of a lot of fun to watch you take the field.
No, I appreciate it, man. Yeah, it's a lot of times, perception is reality, and sometimes perception's not. And obviously, this offseason has been perception of that I'm on a downhill slide, and obviously, that can drive a lot of people, or it can drive a lot of people crazy and help their performance spiral. But I'm the guy that will be driven by it, but that never motivates me on the day-to-day, because I can't be pissed off. Excuse my language. I can't be ticked off for 6 months straight. I'm going to be who I am. I'm going to work hard every day, and that's who I am. And somebody actually sent me something earlier today that was like, man, I thought you were falling off. And they'd said, like, I was in the league. It was like, you're first in completion percentage, second in efficiency, third in touch and interception ratio, tied for second. And it's a lot of times perception is reality, and sometimes it's not. But that doesn't matter. It's all about what's the next thing that you can do. And that's a lot of my Christian faith is what we've done in the past is really no hero there. It's all about doing the next right thing, and do the next right thing. And then after that, do the next right thing, and make sure you keep the team first. And for me, everything that I do is about glorifying Christ. And then after that is about, influence and impact other people, learn and grow as I can, and obviously be as great of a husband and father as I can. And that's really what matters to me. And so that's where I'm going to keep my focus, is to do the next right thing.
You know what you mentioned statistically where you stand. As a quarterback, you're one of the best statistically, for sure, no doubt. In fact, as far as teammates are concerned, Ellingson's the one that posted on Twitter, I think, wasn't it, David? He posted on Twitter Trevor's statistics, and he's very supportive as a former teammate of your ability. I mentioned Henry Burris. I mean, Henry Burris was not as successful as people thought he could be, even that he thought he could be. You're not a winner, Trevor, until you do. And I guess the most important thing, right, is that you get the chance to prove it.
Yeah. And to be honest, I keep hearing about how I can't get it done in the big games. And I think that, an East semifinal that we won when I was in Edmonton, and I think an East final game that we won in 2018 in Ottawa are big games that I've won. But ultimately, the big game is that last Sunday in November. And until you win that, it's a fair assumption. And even if I do win one, Frank, I wouldn't want to pass from the media. I wouldn't want them to say, "Oh, he's won a Grey Cup." I want everybody to be hard on me still, and I think that's fair. And I think it's about doing the next right thing. Just because you've done it once doesn't mean you can do it twice. And I've always just envisioned myself, winning a Grey Cup and then being on top of the mountain. I'm there, and you still can't do anything about it. And that's kind of where a lot of drive can come from. In terms of if you win one, you want to win one again. And Zach would probably tell you the same thing. He'd say, "I'm on top of the mountain now. I'm the highest paid player in the league, and there's nothing you can do about it because I'm going to do it again." It's probably the type of mindset that he has. Just knowing Zach, he's an Ohio kid, grinder, great dude, teammate, great leader. The locker room guys love him, and so I couldn't be happier for somebody like that. But I guarantee you, his mindset, he's not. There's no. His drive will be insatiable until he hangs him up.
It's competitive nature, right, David?
Definitely. And I'm sure Vernon Adams, your teammate, feels the same way, because he's had similar doubts said about him, especially last year. In your conversations with him, how do you see his mindset as a younger quarterback really trying to establish himself? And I think he has established himself, but trying to move away from those doubts.
Yeah, it's hard because people will say Vernon can't win a playoff game. He's 0-1. He's played in one game. Let's calm down. I remember people telling me that they're like, "You can't win a playoff game in 2018." I was like, "I'm 0-1. Relax." You know, I played behind Ricky Ray in 2015. They wanted to go with a future Hall of Famer, and the guy won 4 Grey Cups. And then in 2016, I was the East All-Star quarterback, but we had a guy named Henry Burris on the roster. 2017 was the first playoff game we played. And it's the same thing for Vernon. He hasn't won a playoff game yet, but that doesn't mean that he can't. He's 0-1. And on that day, like, I was on the opposite side. Vernon played admirably. He just costly, timely turnovers happened. And our offense was really clicking that day, and we did a great job of keeping them off the field because we knew that they were explosive. And he's got a lot of great things ahead of him. And, you know, if I'm a mentor role this year, then great. I'm going to help him as much as I can. I'm going to do whatever's asking me. My contract says I play for the Montreal Alouettes, not for Trevor Harris. And first and foremost, I'm never going to glorify God if I'm out there just thinking about what's best for me all the time. I want my boys to see someone that thinks of others, that loves others, that's out to impact others, and that isn't always just in it just for myself. And that's really where my mindset always will be. And I can't speak for Vernon what his mindset is when he saw my name come across the wire. I reached out to him today, haven't heard back from him, but I'm sure we'll speak, and you know, it's going to be great. He's a good kid, and I look forward to helping him as much as I can this year.
All one has to do, you know, Trevor, is look back to the last Grey Cup. You had 2 quarterbacks on the Hamilton team that had a chance. They had an opportunity to be the guy and win that game. You know, so the point I'm trying to make, I guess, is that we believe in the Canadian Football League, you need 2 really good quarterbacks, because if one gets hurt, the other one can step in and help keep the process moving along. And people forget that as a player, you know, you're a member of the team. You're looking for the opportunity to win a championship. And to use your term, if God determines that you're going to be the one under center, thank you very much. But the one thing that you want more than anything, and that's how you celebrate God, is you want to win as a team. You want to be part of the brothers that go there. And whatever happens and whoever, you know, makes the big play, it's what God destines. But you just want to be there to get the opportunity. It doesn't matter that there's another quarterback on the team that's great, whether it even be Ricky Ray, I guess, right? Am I overstating?
Yeah. No, you're not. But that's just, it goes back to do the next right thing. You're crazy. You're outside of your mind if you don't think that I want to be on the field and I want to be competing and leading the team. Everybody does. But if you don't, then you should probably hang the cleats up. And so, yeah, you're darn right. I want to go there and play. Who doesn't, though? That'd be a silly headline to say, like, Trevor Harris wants to play. Of course you do. But it's about the team. And whoever's out there, that's about doing the next right thing. And if that's helping them out to help out the team, then that's what you do. But it's all about reap what you sow, and you sow good seeds and good things happen. And so, yeah, I'm just going to keep sowing good seeds and working my tail off to be the best version of myself and best player, best father, best husband I can. And from there, everything will kind of sort itself out.
We only got a minute left. Who and why in the Super Bowl?
The Bengals, because they're my squad.
Burrow.
If you remember right, I did pick the AFC and NFC championship games correctly. So I'm 2-0. I say Bengals. I'm going to go 27-20.
All right. I'm going for Cincinnati too. I'm not giving a score. Not that I won't. It's just I haven't given it any thought. But it's going to be a close game. In me, I think it's going to be a game that's won at the end. I mean, that's a pretty easy decision in these playoffs. David?
I guess I'm on an island here with the Rams. I have money on them. I need them to win. I had a preseason bet on them winning the Super Bowls, but I think, you know what, you see what Joe Burrow did in the playoffs. It would not surprise me if you see the Bengals win that, especially with the way Joe Burrow's played.
Last word to you, Aaron.
Oh, I'm going with the Bengals again because I love the underdog. But actually, I had a question for you, Trevor. I just remembered this now. Between you and Zach, who gets the 30,000 yards first?
Between who?
You and Zach Caleros. Who do you think gets the 30,000 yards first?
How many yards does he have?
Currently, Zach's sitting at 20,164. You're sitting at 24,725.
Me. There you go.
Perfect.
So that's the modesty.
Level,
Trevor's middle name, modesty.
But I'm always got Trevor. You always got to bet on yourself, right?
Yeah, but you know what? You got almost a 400-yard lead. So hang in there and get her done. Listen, Trevor, thank you for taking the time. You're very busy, and I want to say thank you, especially because of our confusion, my confusion. You burnt rubber to get there. Hope you didn't break any speed limits, and thank you for being here. We really appreciate it.
David, Aaron, Frank, appreciate you guys. Take care, man.
Okay, for Trevor Harris,
Thank you,
David Morisuti, and of course, Aaron William Freeland. I'm Frank Stanisci. Thank you for watching Candid Frank Live with a CFL Talk special. Thanks, David, for being here. Really appreciate it.
No problem. It was a great conversation.
Aaron, see you on Friday.
Yes, sir.
All right. Until next time. Let's see here. Oh, sorry, I hit the wrong button. Now the right button. All right. So for Aaron William Freeland, David Morisuti, and of course Trevor Harris, thank you for watching Candid Frank Lives. Aaron, Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays. This show can also be heard on the Spanglish World Radio Network for Candid Frank Live, and of course CFL Talk Special, other news, entertainment, and sports programming we offer. Please check out SpanglishWorld.ca. Spanglish World. Watch it, hear it, read it, download it, and live it. Ciao for now.